You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Meant something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the vision. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the vision. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the ropes. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Take a breath in. Let it release. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. Here's an affirmation. I came forth under this leading edge of experience to live life and to enjoy my journey. I know that I am enjoying my experience by the feelings I have, because I am a vibrational being. I was source before I came into this glorious, beautiful vehicle of mine. I was source light. I was pure positive energy. I was an unconditional entity. And I know that I would sift and I would sort through this life and I would create and expand. I would tap into the things that I do not like, and I would create from them the things that I do. I knew that I would stand on the leading edge of creation and consciously create. I take that which is and is not, and I divine and define my authentic beingness, called the law of one. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Take another breath. Release. Welcome to Sandee, beyond limitations. That's right. We get to deep dive into the abyss of the unknown and bring it into form, and then allow it to free form back to the unknown so that we can do the dive again. Welcome to the episode that is going to close book one. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's ask my co-host if he's ready. Welcome, Marcus.
私 Esina shutuko utoataya ishimiata usuatayasha usukuti isimiata ugatata shiata yapati yutu yatakiyata. I am ready. Thank you to all of you that have joined us on this beautiful journey of ascending beyond limitations as we now close out with our final episode of Book 1, being episode 17. And what a journey it's been. Wow. How beautiful, enlightening, and remembering of self with the all. It's been a beautiful journey. Thank you to all of you that have commented in the lives, all of you that have participated, all of you that have received. Appreciate each and every one of you. You guys add fuel to the fire, and with all of you, you guys give larger reason, larger impact for holding these spaces. So thank you again. And don't worry, after this episode, when we close out Book 1, we'll be continuing and we'll be back, or I shouldn't say back, we'll be coming forward with Book 2 as we explore Book 2 out of 5 of the Raw Material Law of One. Sandee, back to you.
All right. So while I was asking the divine what to culminate, what to pull it through with, and I said, let thy words be my words. The divine said, excuse me, karma. Interesting, huh? And then I said, oh, that's a good one. Did you know that karma has 15 sub-laws? 15. Only 12 of them are written here. But 15. And Ra speaks of karma. Right? He dedicates, at least I believe in Book 1, he dedicates about 10 pages, but the divine told me to share 2. Okay? And it's, if you have the book, it's on page 112 and 113. We all have a certain perspective of, not 112, I just misspoke. It's hold on. It's 113 and 114. Okay. We all have a perspective based on what we're told about what karma is about, even if it comes from old dogmas of religion. That we're continuing a cycle because of karma. And usually it's something that you have to get rid of, or it's your duty, and it's held on your shoulders to clear it. And that's all your journey is about. Did you know that our souls have the choice to decide whether it's going to take on a karmic clearing? Usually it's high souls or higher beings, according to Ra, that choose the polarity of or the negative polarity as opposed to the positive. Usually it's souls that continuously choose the path to self only. And souls get stuck in that as well. So when they're doing a karmic clearing and they have to come back into that family, they want to move it forward and they want to help kind of correct. Right? Hold on a second. I'm getting a background. Okay. So, so there's many karmic vibrations going on. Another karmic vibration that the divine shared with me is that a soul chooses to come back in a family because it wants to fulfill the choices that it had chose when it came to seek experience. It's not a negative or a positive. It's just that they wanted to fulfill it through that family. It's a choice. Our souls have free will choice. That blew my mind. The moment I found out that my soul came in with the option to learn from a polarity of positive or a polarity of negative, and then it got to choose it, blew my mind. Because it could play in that field of what it wanted to, it could say, hey, I like the negative polarities. Blew my mind. But through free will, as a wholeness part of our soul, we get to give it different choices and options. So it gets to go, oh, well, I played around in that, but, I like this better. Or I did the goody two shoes. Now I want to try out what it means to be just selfish. And you go, oh my God, how could the divine that is wholeness allow that? I smile because the divine says, everything is a free will choice. Everything in the infinite vibration of the cosmic universe is a free will choice. Okay? So here on the bottom of page 113, it starts at, wait a second. The divine is telling me to start at the bottom of 112. The questioner asked, I think it would clarify things for us if we went back to the time just before the transfer of souls. Remember we talked about Maldek? Maldek. Right? From the transfers of soul from Maldek, to see how the law of one operated with respect to the transfer and why this transfer was necessary. What happened to the people of Maldek that caused them to lose their planet? How long ago did this event occur? Did you hear how the divine said that word? Not occur, but occur, evolve. It occurred. It evolved. It happened. Ra says, I am Ra. The peoples of Maldek had a civilization somewhat similar to that of the societal complex known as as Atlantis. In that, it gained much technology information and it used it without care for the preservation of their sphere, of their home, or of their body of consciousness. He said, following to a majority extent, the complex thought, ideas, and actions which you may associate with what you call your negative polarity or service to self. This was, however, for the most part, crouched in a sincere belief/thought. So it's belief or thought. It's a belief or thought structure, which seemed to be the perception of the mind-body complexes of the sphere. They wanted to be positive and be of service to others. But the devastation that racked the biosphere and caused this disintegration resulted from what you call a civil war. So this is where they start this conversation. I know you're going to go, oh, war, war, war. It's not about you focusing on the vibration of war. Let's keep listening. Ross says, the escalation went to the furthest extent of technology this social complex had at its disposal, in the place or in the space or in the time present of the then time. The divine says, all that means is their now moment, past, present, and future. This time was approximately 705,000 years, according to your time. According to humans, as we want to put everything in a linear timeline. And Ross says approximately. The cycles had begun much earlier upon this sphere due to its relative ability to support the first dimensional life forms at an earlier point in the space-time continuum. That of your solar system. These entities were so traumatized by this occurrence that they were in what you may call a societal or a social complex knot, or entangled in fear. So some of your time passed, no one could reach them, no beings could aid them. Approximately 600,000 of your years ago, the then existing members of the Confederation, that's what they call the Council of the Law of One, of the Divine, were able to deploy a social memory complex and untie the knot of fear. These entities were then able to recall that they were conscious. This awareness brought them to the point upon what you would call the lower astral planes, where they could be nurtured until each mind, body, spirit complex was able to finally be healed of this trauma to the extent that each entity was able to examine the distortion it had experienced in the previous life. And they write it this way. This is how Ross speaks. Life/illusion complex. They got to actually discern it. It wasn't based in judgment, so they do it over and over again. And they were sent a social complex to help them, to help unknot them, to help untangle them and free them from that knot of fear. I know you're saying, what does this have to do with karma? But you think about it, when we talk about karma, it's about, we spend eons and eons in karma. We keep doing it over and over again because we got to fix something. That's what we're told karma is about. We think karma is about being enthralled, and that's the divine word that the divine gave me, in the lower energies. We're so focused in the lower energies that karma, we don't get it, that karma is, the karmic energy is enthralled in all and the nothingness. We get to experience it in the what we consider the good, not just what we consider the bad that happened from generation and generation back, and the generational curses. Karma is a drop-off point where we can seek ourselves and who we are, why we're called into this experience, and finding out that we're not broken, but we get to have a do again. This planet, or this civilization that we call Atlantis, we think just happened to them. Cataclysmic. It was cataclysmic, as we might think it, is because they were doing their free will, and their free will was to figure out how much they could control something and create something, and how far they could take it. And they took themselves into destruction. But destruction doesn't mean that it was destroyed, obliterated. It means they went into a knot of fear and they couldn't release themselves. Ross says, after the spirit experience of learning teaching, the group decided, or they had decision, to place upon itself a type of what you may call karmic alleviation. Alleviation. They discerned, and they decided to lift it up off them. For this purpose, they came into what we call incarnation, again, within our planetary system. So that who were called the Atlanteans, we call them Atlanteans here, but they came from Maldek. They decided to incarnate again. Right? They came into incarnation within our planetary sphere in what were not acceptable forms. What do you think that means? Not acceptable to who? To the humans that were already in civilizations that were already here. We're all about not accepting, but they came in, and they came in that were not acceptable human forms, but they took a human form. It just didn't look like us. This then they have been experiencing until the distortion of destruction. Because what happened? They came in. Atlantis was a very, very forward vibrational civilization. And they did the distortion again. They are replaced by distortions towards the desire for a less distorted version of service to self. They tried service to self, They created a whole civilization. Since this was the consciousness's decision of the great majority of those beings of Maldek to experience the transition to this planet, and that began over 500,000 years ago. The questioner asks, was the body complex available at that time? Let's take it. Okay. They're speaking like Ra's speaking, so we're going to take it slow. Was the body complex available at that time, what we refer to as the ape body? And Ra answers. Ra says, I am Ra. That is correct. The questioner says, have any of Maldek's entities transformed since then? Are they still second density now, and are some of them third density? I am Ra says, the consciousness of these entities has always been third density. The alleviation mechanism was designed by the placement of this consciousness in second dimensional physical chemical complexes, which are not able to be dexterous or manipulative in that extent. And it is appropriate to know that the working of third density distortions of the mind complex. So hence, here when you hear people say we need to, we've evolved from apes, do you have a different thought process of that incarnation? I never thought that about Atlantis, or what we thought. And at that, I'm going to give it back to our co-host, Marcus. Are we good?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Whew. It brings me to one of the Hermetic principles, the law of cause and effect, and that everything is basically like a continuous motion of cause and effect. And those cause and effects are kind of like based off of the measurements of your frequency and vibration and whatever other elements come into play with the design of what it is that we're interacting with. And it's really fascinating how much we can really get outside of ourselves and become very dazed, so to say, with kind of like just not making things as simple as they could be with certain things, such as that. It's like we're always trying to think of like some extraordinary and glorified way of explaining karma and like all these different things. But there is also like, a simplified, very basic, mundane version of how the universe works out there for us. And it's written in many different texts, such as the Kabbalion, the Hermetic principles, the raw material, and so many others. And simplicity has been calling me. I'm like, getting back to simplicity and seeing the simpleness of interconnecting with life. And trying to really stay in that harmonic balance of knowing that everything is continuous. Even if there is a struggle happening, even if I'm having a attachment and I'm thinking a lot about something, there's always continuous motion. Even if we're depressed or happy, always continuous motion. And it's really brings a lot of peace, brings a lot of bliss to the body when you accept that more. Because then you can realize, like, oh man, even if my fears were to take place, even if I was to experience what I feel like is the worst, there's always something else after that in some type of energy form. And that's pretty amazing in itself. So I was doing a little bit of research and I found a little something that I wanted to play for us. And I feel like it'd be a really good treat to complement us in our final episode of book 1. And I know, Sandee, you'll definitely enjoy this. Mm-hmm. You actually brought him up the other day.
Consciousness of this planet. They don't talk about it as much in the law of one material, but they basically say that Mars couldn't make it and a small group of people from Mars came to Earth, right?
Right.
But not the whole of the planet, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think what happened, because in that passage, I believe Ra says they came by the process of incarnation.
Right. So Melchizedek is claiming that Mars, for a short period of time, tried to separate from God. They were very Vulcan-like they didn't have any emotions. They separated from love, and they were it was constant war and battle when they did this. And as the planet was destroying, a small group of them were able to come to the Earth and then tried to take over the Earth, but they had such a small number that they didn't make it. But this masculine consciousness that they brought sort of over time infected the Earth, because the Lemurians they're talking about were more feminine oriented. So it kind of caused a shift, a radical change in our consciousness. And I was trying to align this because maybe it's not true, but clearly something happened in our past that they're talking about. What is your perspective on that? People think, oh, we've been around for millions of years, but clearly a bunch of stuff has happened on the Earth that we have no idea of, and we're still like 14-year-olds. We think we're all advanced, but we're not. Perhaps in the past we were way more advanced, right? Were we fourth density in the past?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think we were actually fourth density, right?
Yeah, because it's kind of up to the planet, right?
Right.
Sort of like grades in school, but if I could have one wish, it'd probably be that I could go back in time and find out what really has happened in human history.
That is my wish.
Endlessly interesting.
That's why I'll read that stuff over and over, and so the mind wonders. Like, what Maldek was another planet? Was there this incredible planet Maldek? What did they fight about? What was that? What happened? I want to know. Somebody tell me.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I watched a really interesting show on Gaia a couple of months ago. I can't remember which series it was on, but it was an interview with a nuclear physicist who worked with NASA and was studying. He studies how nuclear weapons and nuclear radiation works and all that stuff. But he was working with NASA studying Mars, I believe. And the whole interview was about how he came to this conclusion that because of the makeup of Mars' atmosphere, he can, in his opinion, his professional opinion, he said there had to have been a nuclear event that stripped the atmosphere in the way that it did. Right. And he found some geological sites on Mars that look like blast sites and things like that. And he basically says the chemical makeup shows that this was very likely some kind of a nuclear war that happened. And he was saying that as he was telling some of his colleagues about his findings, and one of them was like, I've been thinking the same thing for years. I've been studying this on Mars as well, but like, we don't want to like spread this around. People are going to think we're loco, you know?
Right.
But he's like pushing it. I think he wrote a book about it. But the time frame he puts it in is also exactly when Ra says in the Law of One. I was like blown away. It's like 500 to 700,000 years ago, I think. Because Mars was a war planet, essentially. It was a race of people that were in heavy conflict.
That had no love, was what Melchizedek said. Maybe that's true, yeah. Right.
I think the guy on the show actually said that he believes it might have been another civilization that bombed Mars, that dropped the bombs on Mars to get rid of them, because they were, who knows what they were doing that was agitating, you know, other civilizations or whatever. But yeah, it's fascinating to think about, and a lot of what the Law of One says lines right up with that.
Absolutely. So, it's really interesting. I saw this movie the other day on the moon Iapetus in Saturn, and these remote viewers were checking it out and saw that there had been an advanced civilization that had built something just to like monitor Saturn, and they were from the planet that was destroyed with the asteroid, and they were super highly advanced, and something happened that destroyed them. So these are all, if only we could know that stuff, because then we would all be different. Our species would be like, look, 2 or 3 planets in the solar system didn't even make it. So you know, we are in fragile ground. Everything's not assured, and so there might be maybe hopefully part of the social memory complex will be awareness or memory of that. I don't know. I think
at some point it will. Yeah. Right now we're kind of victims of our own naivete, so to speak.
We're definitely victims of our own naivete, and the way that the political system and the economy, it's pushing against. They're definitely in conflict with an idea of people coming together in a social memory complex, and then there's this resistance on both levels. And it will be interesting to see how that resolves itself, because it's going to be messy right now.
Right. Yeah, I think when we talk about like the Fermi paradox, you know what that is?
Right. This is why I think you're making
This is why it's so clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you understand like how the way that the Law of One explains how consciousness evolves, and how, you know, past the point we're at, you know, alien extraterrestrials are vastly more intelligent than we are, and there's only 2 polarities you can choose. And I think that's the confusion of the Fermi paradox, and why we don't have contact with aliens, is because we project our state of consciousness onto them, where we think, well, aliens must be a mixture of good and evil like us too.
Right.
But actually that's not the case.
It's not the case.
Law of One says past this point of third density evolution, you find positively polarized aliens or negatively polarized aliens. So they have one of two agendas. Service to self is to, you know, manipulate us into being enslaved by them. Service to others is to protect us and allow us to evolve according to our own free will. So of course we don't see extraterrestrials, because the service to others, the number 1 rule for them is to not infringe upon free will.
Right.
So that, I mean, Ra says that over and over again in the Law of One. He's like, I can't answer that question. That's an infringement. And there's even one question that I found so interesting. I don't know which one it is in the books, but they ask Ra a question and he says, this is borderline infringing on your free will. They say, we can answer this, but with some loss of polarity. So what he's saying is, we're going to tell you, but we're infringing a little bit, which is going to actually depolarize us a little bit. So if you think about extraterrestrials, why they wouldn't just come land on the White House front lawn and give us their technology, what a massive infringement that would be on our free will, and depolarizing them. So it's more of like a quarantined, we're being quarantined by extraterrestrials right now. And they're waiting until we get to a certain point in our evolution where we understand that we're not alone. We're open to contact, kind of like the Ra group of Don, Jim, and Carla, right? They were putting out the contact saying, hey, we know you're out there. We want to talk. And then, of course, they said, okay, that's your free will, so we'll talk to you. But with the war, the religions that we have, there's no way that our planet's ready for that. And probably won't be for many hundreds of years.
Yeah.
What's interesting when they talk about UFOs is, you know, Ra says that many of these UFO sightings are service to others, craft who are allowing themselves to be seen, so as to open our species to the mysterious, to kind of let us start to say, oh, maybe we're not alone. And man, are we seeing some of the most fascinating UFO sightings ever? Like,
we are.
Just beyond the Bob Lazar stuff.
Right.
There was the Navy, I believe, pilot on Joe Rogan last year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about the Tic Tac UFO.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just incredible. That
is
happened.
amazing. And we're acting like it's no big deal. This should be talked about. We should be talking about it every day. But people are like, oh.
Right? Like, how do you just go back to work after that? I don't know.
How? Exactly.
Aliens are here.
Right. So clearly there is a quarantine. The quarantine also kind of answers the Fermi paradox argument, right? But even
All right. So yeah, I'll go ahead and hand it back to you, Sandee.
All right. I'm like excited. I'm just excited. I mean, I have the view that all, just like Ross said, it's the law of one. Aliens, planets, Mars, and planets that we believe we do not see on the surface, other sentient beings like us. We believe that every planet, if we see it in the way we see it as ending a cycle instead of beginning a cycle, right? We see everything based upon our evolution. Everything must have evolved slowly because that's what we're doing, right? And it's true. It's true. I feel that it's true that just as we are shifting, growing, and evolving, there are other conscious planets that are doing this as well. They are definitely probably ahead of us in the game, but they're still growing. And it's not every conscious being on a conscious planet that's not us that wants to do us harm. But at the same time, there are some that are growing in the evolving. They're evolving, and they're doing the same thing we're doing. We're looking out and going. They're looking out and going, oh, we're only here. We're the only ones here. The divine created us, all this vastness for us to play in. And there's no one else like us, right? So let's keep going. What I want to do is the third law, the third sub-law of karma. I'm going to read that to you. It's called the law of humility. It basically says one must accept something in order to change it. The author says, what you refuse to accept will continue for you. Basically, that which you resist will persist. That's just another way of saying it. The author says, there exist many forms of the human condition, but the human condition is predominantly ruled by one thing. They believe it was ego. The ego is not an unfamiliar term. However, the origin of this ego is what we must seek if we are to understand it from a deeper level. The author says, I will continue to revert back to the Big Bang theory of creation for further explanation of the concepts discussed in this book. This book I'm reading from is called The 12 Laws of Karma. In parentheses, it says, or in quotations, it says, creatures of habits. Because that's what we are. We're creatures of our habits. And the author, if you want to know, his name is Christopher Vince Gonzalez. So he explains the law of humility this way, what he thinks, what his perception is, what the divine channeled to him. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Christopher says, when the split occurred, and he has in parentheses, Big Bang, the giving force experienced a split in the energy source by offering a receiving force. So the divine separated itself and sent itself out in energy form with a Big Bang, right? And at the same time that it sent out the giving of itself, it had a receiving of itself, right? And then that receiving force was given to man. That's how he wrote it. He wrote it, the divine says, to change it into humankind. The author says, this happened at the moment of separation. At the moment that consciousness sent itself out to seek itself, it also gave of itself to humankind to receive itself. Whoa, was that a mouthful? Right? This force continues to act as a separate energy and thus has become a strictly, and in quotations, receiving role used by the trapped egotistical human condition. When the center of attention is directed into illusionary self, it gives rise to ego. So when we do what Ra says and we seek self only, we seek the negative polarity only, it gives rise to ego. Ego has to show up. That's an energy force that the divine gave you, so that you can look out at the world and identify it. Right? He goes on to say, he says, if we were free this ego, and if we are to free the ego and bring light in, we must understand the nature of the darkness. We live in a dualistic world of light and of dark, and the ego is transmuted through the recognition of light and dark. Transmuted. It can be changed. It can be altered. It can grow. It can expand. Otherwise known as giving yourself a fucking update. You can update your ego. You can allow your ego to merge with your higher being. You can allow your ego to feel wholeness, to move out of separation. Oh, that's called shifting. Right? All right. Christopher says, if we only look at the good and disregard the bad, we are still trapped in ego. It works the same way if we view the bad and disregard the good. In order to transform, we must first transcend duality and view ego through the unified lenses of the divine. So that means you can live in third density. And if you're shifting, you can shift into a fourth density consciousness and see it through a different lens. People might look at you and say, oh, I know people have looked at me and said, oh, she's a little bit crazy. She doesn't see that as the problem. She doesn't see that like I see that. That's okay. Keep shifting. Right? The divine says, the divine checked in there, not Christopher said, but the divine says, we must first transcend duality and view ego through the unified lens of the divine. In order to do this, we must understand why the ego has laid this path for us, right? Because the ego has been fed this information, continuously fed this information. You want to say downloads? Let's just use the word downloads. Everything from time of birth till right now that you're looking at has been fed to your ego, and your ego has said it must be true. It must be true. So we're talking, and this law is called the law of humility. Do you see where I'm going with it? Your ego wasn't meant to be humble. It was meant to protect you. And it just took information in, and it said, I don't know what to do with it. So if it happens to you again, I'm going to show it to you again, and then we'll just judge it by, did it feel good or did it not? How did this feel to you? But it's not discerning it for you. It's just bringing it back into your presence, hoping you can tell it what to do. But you're not there yet. That's why the divine says you have to understand the ego, why it's leading you into the path, what it's missing, what you haven't given it yet. Remember, ego is energy. That's part of you. Ego is energy, and energy is waiting to serve. Who is it waiting to serve? You. And it's going to serve you either way. Either it's going to serve you by serving others, or service to self, and then you. Because serving others, you're part of the others. I didn't get that. Service to self is the positive polarity. And when you're serving others, I finally got it. You're serving you. Others are wholeness. Holy shit. I didn't get that. Shit, I did not get that until just now, and my whole body is vibrating. Service to others is service to wholeness, and my fucking God, you're whole. And then the negative polarity is service to self, separate from others, separate from wholeness. So all your ego is going to know, it's not going to know humility. It's going to know service to yourself. And it's going to keep bringing around the part of what keeps showing up for you. And if you're not changing it, the ego just keeps bringing it up. Well, we've been there before. Oh, and this happened. And here's the favorite thing. Why does the favorite saying? You can put this in your quotations. Why is this shit always happening to me? Why does this shit keep happening to me? Life is fucking with me. It's got to be fucking with me because it ain't helping me. That's your ego. Right? So here it says, when the separations begin to slow down and form came into existence, the ego wanted to be part of the creation that it was witnessing. Have you ever heard that one before? I had to go back and read this because the divine wanted me to read it. And I said, but the divine said, read it, Sandra. Now, I thought I had read it. Matter of fact, I have a highlight on it. But the thing is, it didn't vibrate in me until now. The desire of let's put it this way. When the separations begin to slow down, that means that third density is slowing, right? It slows down and form came into existence, us, right? The ego wanted to be part of the creation of what it was witnessing. It wanted to be a creator. So it wanted to create within us. It wanted to be the creator. That's all it knew. That's all it saw. In third density, this desire created a restriction of the light. It took a restriction of the giving force, what the divine was pushing out, giving to us. Ego was like, stop. I want to do that. But it didn't know how. It was just a receptacle to have information put into it. And because the force is strictly a giving force, perfect in its nature, it continues to give humanity exactly what it needs for its development, regardless of our human perceptions. The ego is what judges some things as good and others as bad. The truth is we get in life what we are. And if we are trapped in the egoist experience or existence, that is exactly what we're going to get. The divine spoke to him, we must learn to rise above our inherent nature and give away that which we desire the most. When you give away what you desire the most, you give it out to the divine is going to give it back to you. That's the law of cause and effect. What you give, you get. That's the Hermetic law. That's the law of the universal law, whatever you want to call it. When we accept our life as it is, that's humility. That's the humility. That's the vibration of humility that the divine is talking about. Life is. It's energy. It is energy, and energy is waiting to serve you. What do you, and energy is waiting for you. In every life that I've ever done, in every video that I've ever done, in every post, you are the main ingredient, and life is waiting on you. So if life is giving you something that you don't like, if you say life is fucking with you, you got to go inward and adjust your projector. Right? If you're thinking that you have to keep coming back as a soul for karma to fix something, and you know it, you've been saying it, I'm back here and it's got to be fixing, I got to fix my generational curses, then go within. Adjust your projector and find out why your projector is putting that outward, because what's happening on the outside is coming from the inside. And that's humility. Humility is telling your ego, hey, sit back a minute. Let me discern. Your ego is going to fight you because your ego has made itself your creator. It's made you its puppet. It's not doing it on purpose. It witnessed, that energy witnessed how creation was being done, and it wanted to do that. Haven't you ever wanted to play in your daddy's shoes or your mommy's shoes? Haven't you wanted ever sit down at your mommy's makeup table and dress yourself up? And then when your mom looked at you, you had lipstick all over your nose, and you had eyeliner on the bottom of your chin, or you put shaving cream all over your face, and you were using your dad's razor, and you nicked yourself because you were imitating. That's what your ego is doing. It's imitating. Right? So he says, we must accept our life as is, comma, humility. We give it the power to attract to it the light of the divine, if you so want to. And remember, we just watched the video where, Aaron Apke was saying that our higher beings only have two choices that it gets to choose from. The negative polarity, which is a service to self only, and you see that a lot in politics and in businesses and stuff that only care about their product or not just product, only about money, and they don't care about the rest of the world, right? Or the positive polarity, which is service to self, meaning equaling the service to all. And you're part of the all. Service to wholeness. When you finally tune service to others, which might sound, oh man, that means that I can't take care of myself first. Yes, you can. You're part of the wholeness. Blew my mind. Back to you. Back to I laugh because that came to me, the divine. That came to me today. That was just well defined for me. Back to you, Mark.
I'm sweating over here.
I need living water.
Hydration check, everybody. Stay hydrated. Especially as these solar flares keep coming through.
Yes.
I love this because let me go ahead and grab it. I'm gonna grab the Kabbalion.
Oh.
So the Kabbalion, one of the Hermetic principles, as I mentioned a moment ago. So one of the Hermetic principles talks exactly about this, the cause and effects. And it is... here it is. Okay. So it is the law of causation. And if you have this edition of the Kabbalion, not sure how the pages work in the other ones, but it's on page 109. Here it is. So causation. Now, causation isn't exactly one of the 7 Hermetic principles. It's more of like a subtool law within other laws of the universe. So causation. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law, not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. So when it says chance is but a name for law not recognized, it's basically saying anytime that we believe something is random, anytime that we think something just happens by chance, or anytime we believe that we're quote unquote so lucky. Basically what they're saying is anytime we choose to perceive life that way, it is us choosing to not recognize the law of one, choosing not to acknowledge the always continuous synchronization of life, and that everything is always synchronized no matter what. And it's just us becoming aware and perceiving what is already synchronized. So with that being said, you can see things from different perspectives, and we fluctuate through it throughout our whole life. Nobody is gonna, their whole entire life, just see everything as a fluid oneness. There's always going to be some type of human interaction or experience that will bring us into some type of, illusionary experience of separation. But it's really about, like, as you go through the experiences, being detached from them, knowing that wholeness basically embeds into all that is, and everything's experienced through wholeness and from wholeness. So let's see here. How long is this? Okay, it's quite long. So I'll just read some of the beginning of it. So the great sixth, the number 6, Hermetic principle, the principle of cause and effect, embodies the truth that law pervades the universe, that nothing happens by chance, that chance is merely a term indicating cause existing but not recognized or perceived. That phenomena is continuous, without break or exception. The principle of cause and effect underlies all scientific thought, ancient, modern, and was enunciated by the Hermetic teachers in the early days. While many and varied disputes between the many schools of thought have since arisen, these disputes have been principally upon the details of the generation, upon the details of the operations of the principle, and still more often upon the meaning of certain words. The underlying principle of cause and effect has been accepted as correct by practically all the thinkers of the world worthy of the name. To think otherwise would be to take the phenomena of the universe from the domain of law and order, and to regulate it to the control of the imaginary something which men have called chance. A little consideration will show anyone that there is, in reality, no such thing as pure chance. Webster defines the word chance as follows: a supposed agent or mode of activity other than a force, law, or purpose, the operation or activity of such agent, the supposed effect of such an agent, a happening, fortuity, casualty. But a little consideration will show you that there can be no such thing as chance in the sense of something outside of law, something outside of cause and effect. How could there be a something acting in the phenomenal universe independent of the laws, order, and continuity of the latter? That question right there. I'm gonna reiterate that question right there. Wow. That's that's almost like, I almost want to, like, first time I meet someone, just be like, all right, I have a question for you. How could there be a something acting in the phenomenal universe independent of the laws, order, and continuity of the latter? Wow. Such a something would be entirely independent of the orderly trend of the universe, and therefore superior to it. We can imagine nothing outside of the all being outside the law, and that only because the all is the law in itself. There is no room in the universe for a something outside of and independent of the law. The existence of such a something would render all natural laws ineffective. It would plunge the universe into chaotic disorder and lawlessness. A careless examination will show you that we call chance is merely an expression relating to obscure causes, causes that we cannot perceive, causes that we cannot understand yet. The word chance is derived from a word meaning to fall, as the falling of dice. The idea being that the fall of the dice and many other things are merely a happening, quote unquote, unrelated to any cause. And this is the sense in which the term is generally employed. But when the matter is closely examined, it is seen that there is no chance whatsoever about the fall of the dice. Each time a die falls and displays a certain number, it obeys a law as unfathomable as that which governs the revolution of the planets around the sun. Back of the fall of the die are causes or chains of causes running back further than the mind can allow. The position of the die in the box, the amount of muscular energy expanded in the throw, the condition of the table, etc., all are causes, the effect of which may be seen. But back of these sense causes, there are chains of unseen, presidented causes, all of which had a bearing upon the number of the die which fell uppermost. If a die be cast a great number of times, it will be found that the numbers shown will be about equal. That is, there will be an equal number of 1 spot, 2 spot, etc. Coming upmost, toss a penny in the air, and it may come down either heads or tails. But make a sufficient number of tosses, and the heads and tails will about even up. This is the operation of the law of average. But both the average and the single toss come under the law of cause and effect. And if we were able to examine into the preceding causes, it would be clearly seen that there is simply impossible for the die to fall other than it did under the circumstances and at that same time. Given the same causes, the same results will follow. There's always a cause and a because to every event. Nothing ever happens without a cause, or rather, a chain of causes. Wowzers. Beautiful stuff.
Yes, 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 and yes. All right. Before we read the next two paragraphs of Ra, in the same book that I'm reading, the 12 Laws of Karma. Okay. What is karma? Okay. You guys know that karma is the law of cause and cause and effect, right? All right. So it's just the spiritual label for law of cause and effect. The author says, what is karma? Okay. It says, is history simply repeating itself? It has a question mark. So here's how that's written. What is karma? Is history simply repeating itself? And I wrote down the numbers by it. In the world of cause and effect, we must understand that the universe follows very exact laws. The sun doesn't struggle to shine, nor does the grass struggle to grow. When it's time for the grass to grow, it will. The sun will shine, and as quickly as the sun sets, the moon will rise in its place. What we truly experience is not time, but space. Space between. Are you ready for it? Cause and effect. Between the cause and the effect. Between what is put out and the action. Blowing your mind right now? All right. What we truly experience is not time, but space between cause and effect. Time is only an illusion. But understand this, illusion is what we create from. I had to look at the time to remember what time it was to come on to this podcast. That was the illusion that Marcus and I shaped. Time is necessary for third density, but not for the rest of the atmosphere of beingness. We get to decide if time is going to be our enemy or if time is going to be our best friend. So you can make it your enemy, and most people have, or you can make it your best friend. You can make illusion your enemy, or you can make it your best friend. Oh man, and you found out this is the matrix. We're walking around in a matrix. You can be afraid of it, or you can turn around and go, okay, now how can I start moving these shapes around, these angles around? Now that I know what I'm in, how can I rewrite the formulas, right? So if you know time it's not about time, it's about the space between the cause and effect. What kind of causes are you going to put out? And are you going to realize that you're responsible for what you put out? That's the cause. The effect is the form that you created from it. So Maldek, they created a story about war and pretty much destroyed their planet, but that was their story that they created, cause and effect. Right? And it's happening all across the universe because the divine says, I'm in everything and I'm feeling me. I'm searching me. I'm being me in every galaxy everywhere. And probably some galaxies that we only can see in a telescope, and we don't even have a clue what's going on there. But the divine is saying, I'm being me in between cause and effect. And guess what? It can't be bargained with. There's no gray area. Cause and effect actually happens when you utilize it. Right? So it says, time is only an illusion. It is a construct of our perception. Then the next thing I highlighted, nature is always in perfect balance and could be viewed as a still pond, right? When we see the world, we interpret it as only through our five senses. Have you ever thrown a rock in a pond and you watched it ripple? And then it goes back to still. I watched a part of a series from Xena, Warrior Princess. She was having a conversation with her partner, Gabrielle. And Gabrielle was asking her about, this series was based on her going and righting all the wrongs she did. Okay, Xena. She was going back, and she was going back to every town that she had ever pillaged, every family, and trying to take that cause and effect and then put cause out there again and give it a different effect. She was creating something different. And she was talking about all that she had been through. And Gabrielle asked her, why do you do it? And she says, if you throw a rock into a pond and you watch it ripple, right, and then settle. And before she could finish her sentence, Gabrielle says, well, it's settled. And I remember Xena, it was written, Xena said, no, it only looks that way. You only have the perception. If you go deeper, it's moving underneath. The cause, the actual thing that we see with our physical senses, and don't get me wrong, having eyes that see 100% is good, nose that smells is good, mouth and lips that allow you to talk and eat and swallow and sing is good. All of these things that give you the physicality is good. But if you go underneath the cause, the space that separates the cause with the effect is still in being active. You just can't see it with your physical eye. I'm going to tell you, I watched Xena when I was a young adult, and while I was raising my kids. Matter of fact, my kids said, "Man, Mom, you can watch Xena over and over again. It's the same series over and over again." But I was getting different things from it. But in my adulthood now, I think it was the beginning of this year, they did the whole Xena from beginning to end, all episodes on Prime.
Hmm.
And I got to see that episode again, and I got to sit there, and I sat there with it. I kept rewinding that part. That's what cause and effect is. The space between the cause and the effect is the action that's underneath. Right? Take it or leave it, right? So it says nature is always in perfect balance and could be viewed as a still pond. When we see the world, we interpret it through our five senses. In this act of interpretation, we give meaning to what we experience. This meaning is like a rock being thrown into a pond, the rock causing a ripple in the pond at the point of impact, but the ripple are the effects of the rock. The rock is the cause, and the ripples are the effect. The ripples continue until the pond is still again, or until another rock is thrown in the pond. The author says, I want you to now relate this example to your mind. He's going back to your unconscious mind and the ability of your ego, that energy ego, that computer, what do you call it? The computer, they used to call it the box that the computer was held in, right? And the energy in that box that was being utilized is being utilized by your ego, by what it sees. All it sees is the response. That's the action. All it knows to do is the action. Right? And it doesn't think about the effect. It just knows it has to react. But who thinks about the effect is when it comes back to you. You feel it and you have emotion about it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Your thoughts are the rock, and your life experiences are the ripples, yet effect, yet the motion is what most people miss, the in-between. You don't see the ripples underneath the water that are still in effect. You don't see the fish that were affected by the displacement of the water underneath it. That's the space between. Number 2, I wrote down, it says, this is where karma operates. In order for the ripples to glide upon the pond, there must be a force keeping them in motion. This force we will call an action or an attraction of force. It's always in motion. So between cause and effect, in between there's always something in motion from the cause, from what you put out there. It's always in motion. It will always come back around to you, and it will always show you as being an effect of something that you have done or you have said, that's turning into form and taking on action. Take what resonates. It's called motion. This motion gives rise to the great law of karma. All things in the universe will at some point come back to us. That's karma. And I heard Michael Beckwith define karma in the most simplistic way. Karma is a drop-off point for you. It points you in a direction. Life always comes back around to you. It's always vibrating. It's always moving and in motion. And it comes back around to you and says, what do you want me to do with this now? And most of us say, I don't want to feel that now. It's my trigger. I just got to put a bubble wrap on it. And then it comes back around. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. The questioner says, here we go. Our human race is formed of a few of originally, let's see, we're going to take it slow. Our human race, this is the questioner, is formed of a few who originally came from Maldek and quite a few who came from Mars. Are these entities here from other places? Right? From other places. Ra says, I am Ra. There are entities experiencing your time-space continuum who have originated from many, many places, as you would call them in the creation. For when there is a cycle of change, those who must repeat then find a planetary sphere appropriate for this repetition. It is somewhat unusual for a planetary mind-body-spirit complex to contain those from many, many various loci, L-O-C-I. But this explains much, for you see, you are experiencing the third dimension occurrence with a large number of those who must repeat the cycle. Doesn't say that you're repeating the cycle. It just says that there are many who answer the call to earth consciousness to come in and play and repeat their what they believe is their karmic cycle from other planets, other conscious planets. They took birth. They took on human form. They became souls. They became higher beings, and they were part of the wholeness. They're not separate from us. They're part of the wholeness. That's why they get to play in the polarity of the negative polarity or the positive polarity. The orientation thus has been difficult to unify, even with the aid of many of your teach/learners. So here we are, we're thinking that this is just a human experience, and that when we talk about our souls or our spirits or what we want to call our higher being, we think that we think that it comes from heaven. Define heaven. Define the realm of absolute. Those are labels. Now, allow consciousness to give you an answer. Back to you, Marcus. Ooh. You have to answer that. The divine is going to give you the answer, and then you have to answer it for yourself. You go, Sandee, what? Well, why can't the divine give me the answer? Because you're going to have a perception about the answer that the divine is given to you. You're going to either go, is this from the divine or is this from my ego? You could question it.
Yep.
It's not just because Sandee says so. Sandee's not going to argue it with you. Sandee's going to say, I was the body that the divine came into here, read and channeled. And Marcus is going to say that as well, and give you this information and give you a seed for you to decide what you want to do with it. You can either believe the channeler that wrote the Kabbalion, and I guarantee you, he, she, it, they were being channeled when they were writing the Kabbalion, just as there were people being channeled to pick and choose what books to put in the Bible and what not. They were being channeled by, were they being channeled by the divine, or were they being channeled by their ego? But if you're reading it, you get to be channeled or work in collaboration like Marcus and I are doing here. You work in collaboration with your higher being and your ego. Collaboration means you can tell your ego to sit down, be quiet. I want to hear from my higher being. Or you can just solely go straight to your ego and let your ego define it for you through judgment. And the ego, your ego is only going to go back into your past where your judgments were. And that's usually somebody downloading their opinions, you taking them on as your perception, and you're holding them and making them your action. And then you're acting on it, which becomes your belief. Are you following yet? It becomes your belief. And then your belief becomes your truth. And your truth, if it's based in judgment, will be exactly what you put out to the universe, and the universe says, let's create that for her or him. So book 1, you can take it with a grain of salt or not. Here we go. Book 2, you can take it with a grain of salt or not. Hold up the Kabbalion. Hold it up. You can take it with a grain of salt or not. 3 waves of volunteers and the new earth. Grain of salt or not. The divine design. Grain of salt or not. These are all people who got downloads and who wrote. Now, could they be using a little of their ego in some of it? I guarantee you, probably so. Ego's going to always find a way to put a little of its information in there. But guess what? You have a higher being that can discern it for you. And then you get to go live life. You don't have to sit in this book and say, the book says. Go put it into application according to how it flows for you. I guarantee you, what somebody else's opinion or perception got to do with you? If you want to have a consciousness be your devil, and that's what you want to worship, do it. The divine says, let that be so. Why? Because the divine is having an experience being you. And when you separate from that body, you're not going back to to be judged about it. You're going to be asked to put it into the Hall of Great Records or remind the divine about it. And then the divine says, do you want to do it again? You get to decide if you do. And guess what? That's my perception that the divine shared with me. But you don't have to believe it. I just blew your mind, right? Because those people that believe that there is a heaven and a hell, that believe that the divine is going to judge them, let them believe it. Don't try to force them. You didn't want anybody to force you. That's why you have a free will.
Ooh.
All is is in what is holy, as some way would say, in wholeness. All is one. Everything is, every experience that we're all experiencing all at once and not at all is wholeness. I'm telling you, you can believe that we're on this planet Earth and it's just a bunch of dirt and rock and we're out here all alone, and the divine will say, let it be so. Are you ready for book 2? I am. I'm ready. Oh yeah.
It's it is very simple when you really get into these laws of creation. Very simple. You know, cause and effect, like just relating that directly with what you're saying. You know, if this is what you want to use out of your free will, okay. Well, you making your choice out of your free will is going to co-create a cause. So then through that, the universe, as it's already designed to be, is then going to formulate based off of that cause and choice that you made. Okay. It's like a little big old quantum Akashic computer, the universe. Yes. So then what it does is it formulates all these timeline probabilities that are already existing that will be able to resonate and unfold according to the cause that and choice you just made. So then those timeline probabilities that end up resonating with that choice and embodiment that you're at will end up being the effects from it. And that's just a continuous motion of causes and effects, taking our actions in those spaces. And then through those actions, we create ripples. Through those ripples, we attract back through the mirror of time whatever it is that resonates at that frequency and through the attraction of our magnetic field. And it's really meant to be that simple as who we are when it comes to being these human avatars. And it's different for each form. It's different for each archetype. It's different for different dimensional beings. So like when we study this stuff, just try to keep in mind too that we're receiving it, perceiving it, and digesting it through the human lens, the human consciousness, and what applies to the human. So the animals out in nature, the way that they're receiving their downloads are going to be different. But best believe they are receiving downloads. They're receiving intuitive guidance and other things of that nature as well. It's even the same with crystals and other mineral forms too. So, you know, it's been really big lately, within probably the last few days or week, the theme of energy that's been coming through in the collective. And it's been matching a lot from people I've been speaking with and coming across is really like temperance right now. Temperance, moderation, and groundedness. Turtle medicine. Slowing it down. Being consciously aware of the choices that we're making. Being consciously aware of the thoughts that we're continuing to feed. Being consciously aware of where we still have some imbalances in our emotions, whether it's pain from the past, attachments emotionally through relationships, or overflowing of emotions to where we're spilling and projecting all over. These can run rapid in our human lives if we aren't taking maintenance on self. So that's been really one of the biggest things coming through me lately is slowing down and really being aware of being present with ourselves. Remembering the importance of how tedious the universe really is and orchestrating our timelines, orchestrating the realities that we wish to experience. And something that I've really been taking on doing more of is really being conscious of, the spells that I'm casting through my words. And I'm starting to get really more slowed down with that. Because, man, when we get on autopilot and we just start rolling on reactive wording and unconscious wording, I realize like how many times through my own wording, I would kind of like take a step forward or take 2 steps forward with what it is that I'm saying and what that supports for me. But then I'll find myself, get triggered or become ungrounded and scattered. And next thing I know, I'm like basically backtracking the things that I'm affirming and trying to manifest. And with that being said, I just came to this place. It was actually last night of just like, I'm going to start really slowing down my words and the things I'm telling myself in the universe. Because like I'm really seeing now how, that frequency really does assimilate into our reality what it is that we want to manifest and attract. So if this really is the case, I'm really also going to be true to, the path of self-mastery and continue to grow with the knowledge that I have. I'm going to have to take the courage to ground in and integrate more of the knowledge that I've obtained. Just like we spoke on, I think it was the last episode, we emphasize actually integrating and utilizing the knowledge that we come across into our actual life and then embodying that so it can become wisdom. And once it's wisdom, it's basically activated and stored inside of you at all times. So then you can access that wisdom through your own experience for your own lens. So that's definitely something I'm taking more action in, is kind of refreshing myself on the knowledge and tools that I have and seeing where I could integrate a little bit more, integrate with my own self, but also integrate into the collective as well. And with that integrating into the collective, I'm now finding myself in more opportunities, such as sharing the knowledge, the practices, and facilitating rehabilitation centers here in Ohio, as well as being welcome to other spaces and events. And with that also, I'm also reminded that the more I continue to step into these fields, into these places, I'm going to have to continue to grow with my patterns, grow with my habits, grow with the things that I'm continuing to focus on and allow into my life to affect me. And it's really interesting how we're always in this continuous motion of change. No matter how great things get or how bad things get, there's always a continuous motion of change taking place. And it is certainly a great mystery indeed. Back to you.
I had muted because my air conditioner came on. So it makes me cough for a minute, the Freon. I love the way you said motion. Everything's always in motion. There's never a time where vibration and energy and frequency is not in motion. And the fact that he said that, and the divine had me open up the book, The Divine Design by Lori Ladd. I'm going to read you 3 short paragraphs. Okay. The divine showed me that it says, Earth as a higher dimensional consciousness, not as a planet, split from source and was experiencing itself in many frequencies, forms, and dimensional fields. Earth calls herself she, according to the channeler that wrote this book. She decided she wanted to play in lower dimensional field. She wanted to experience shifting within a lower dimensional field while in form body. She wanted to enter into a 5th dimensional form. We now call that Earth plane or Earth, planet Earth, within a 5D field and experience shifting into the 7th dimensional field with that same form. She wanted to shift, man. She wanted motion. So she said to the divine, I need to split from you so that I can do that. The divine says, well, I'll never be far from you because I'm going to move in, through, and as you're doing it. And Earth said, okay, Dad. Okay, Daddy. So the Earth plane, her body that they created for her, would shift frequencies and dimensions while as the Earth plane, and the higher dimensional consciousness would experience the shifting within the Earth plane. They just say it twice. This experience had never been done before. That's what the channeler or the higher being that was channeling to her said. We had never done it this way before. If a consciousness wants to move from one dimensional field to another, it will instantaneously shift frequencies into and become another dimensional field. Like that. It'll just have an intention. Its energy behind it will shift it and it will just move. But Earth consciousness said, I want to do that with the form body. And Dad said, if you want to see it that way. Father said, looked over at Mother consciousness and said, can we do it? And Mother consciousness said, let her play. And Daddy said, you know what? I'm going to let you play, but you know what? I'm not going to be too far from you. I'm going to always support you. But I'll go ahead and I'll let you do it. You can lower yourself down into fifth density. And at 5th density, understand, there was no amnesia. That didn't happen until 3rd density. But she honored her playtime. And she said, Daddy, if I'm going to do this, I want to open it up so everybody from all our experiences, all our higher beings from everywhere can come do this with me. And daddy looked at mama consciousness, and mama consciousness said, let her do it. And daddy said, okay, let's put out the call. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. This is an infinite possibility of how things shifted into this cause and effect that we're living. It's one infinite possibility. Why? Because the divine is wholeness and infinite, and gives you a possibility of how it went, maybe. That is, for me, an opposite of God created the earth, and in 7 days God rested, and there was Adam, there was Eve, and blah, blah, blah. There was the snake. Blah, blah. For me, I had it embodied in question, and this answered it for me, that it gave me an infinite possibility that was a little bit different than that. But guess what? Know this, that just because you hear me say that this works for me does not mean I negate that something else is working for someone else, because that's their cause and effect. That's them resonating in the motion in between the cause and the effect. Right? So this is what the picture was painted. It says, what is the evolution of consciousness? Evolution is the process of energy moving, and I only say this because it's moving, because this is where Marcus was at. Motion. Motion of the ocean. Motion. Evolution is the process of energy moving from a lower frequency and dimensional field to the next highest frequency and dimensional field. Growth, expansion, wisdom, understanding, learning, not learning, and evolution, if you want it or not. So the 4 steps to evolution, they put acclimation. They spell that ACCLIMATION. So the first step of evolution is acclimation. The physical form continuously receiving high frequency light from the sun. This is what they were given to write, right? As the light enters the form, it begins to acclimate. This is what you do every time you go out into the sun. The sun gives you information. It gives you consciousness. That's how you say, oh, I got downloads. But the sun is always giving me downloads. Right? And we begin to acclimate to it. Acclimation occurs when the physical form slows down the high frequency light to receive it into the body. Still moving. It's just slowing down, because it's slowing down and becoming form. The frequency of the light is too high, the body won't be able to access the light and use it to shift into higher frequencies. The light will dissolve the body. If the body acclimates, it will settle into the physical body. The next is assimilation. Once the physical form acclimates to light, the body begins to assimilate it. Hold on a second. Something's going on with my computer. Assimilation occurs when the physical form integrates the higher frequency light into the lower frequency light within the body. Light is always moving. Here we go again. Motion. The higher frequency light then either pushes the density or lowers frequency light out of the body, or merges the density light into the higher frequency light. Either way, the physical form begins to increase in frequency as the lower density is moved out of form or is integrated into higher light. Then there's tapping. TAPPING. Tapping into the next dimensional frequency is an essential step in evolution. As the physical form, your physical form, holds more light, the human aspect and the earth can feel and experience the next higher frequency and dimensional field. Did you hear that? Not just human. It said the physical form holds more light, and the human aspect and the earth can feel and experience the next highest frequency and dimensional field. They begin to tap into and experience the consciousness within that dimension. Earth consciousness and her human form, or her form, earth plane, or earth, planet Earth, and human body, mind, and soul tap in to the consciousness that is, and you get to shift and expand. And the last thing is anchoring. In fifth density, in order to anchor into seventh density, you had to have 80% anchored into that energy. And then you could move. You could shift. And guess what? 80% in seventh density and 30% in fifth density, you can be in both. You can be in both densities. Ooh, what do we call that? Multidimensional beingness. Yes, the divine shared this all from Marcus saying motion is continuous. We call it shifting, growing, expanding, evolve, and then evolving. You can evolve down or you can evolve up. It's totally your choice. You can believe it or not. Guess what? It's a free will choice. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You don't have to believe that you're here to do anything at all. You can believe that you're here to live this minuscule life that is fucking with you. And you can grow, you can be born, you can grow up, you can work, you can retire, and you can die. That's totally your choice. But in between that motion, you get to take a moment and go, is there more? Once you ask that embodying question, the motion shifts to you wanting an answer. Right? Take what resonates.
I know it resonates for me. I'm going to take it all.
Take it, yeah.
Wow.
Just divine wisdom says, multidimensional beings, we are being and experiencing whatever we choose with resonated frequencies. Exactly.
Yep. Exactly.
You can be whatever you want. You don't have to be what the raw materials say that you should be, or divine design or Kabbalion or the Bible or whatnot. You get to discern who you want to be. And you get to, as divine words of wisdom has always said with resonance, is you get to express any way that you want to express. You don't have to be Sandee. You don't have to be Soul Awakening with Sandra. You don't have to be sacred light. Right? You don't have to be Marcus. You be you. You vibrate you. But I I came on this magnificent journey and woke up to the fact that I want to serve others. I want to serve wholeness. Today was like the breakthrough for me. The polarity of positive is the service to others. That means today, I mean, I just vibrated all over. You go back and listen to this in YouTube form. It's service to others, is service to wholeness. I'm part of wholeness. So in me serving others, I'm serving me for my highest and greatest good. The moment I knew that my higher being had the choice to make a choice between a negative polarity and a positive polarity, I said, what can I do to help you? I sat there in meditation and said, how can I help you? Because it's not all about me, the form or the mind. I'm woke. I can't go back to sleep. So how am I going to help you? Because if I help you, I help me. If I grow you, I grow me. Take what resonates. Whew. And we'll be back for book 2. Episode 17. Oh my God,
Yeah.
my God. Oh, I love that. Servitude to our wholeness. I love that. Patrice.
So with all this being said, everybody out there, just if you wish, think about like the simplicity of what we've spoken on, and then the components of that simplicity and how they relate with each other. Remembering that through my actions, through my reactions, it's going to have a cause into the universe, into reality that we're experiencing. And there's going to be effects that will come from that choice or that cause that we choose. No matter if we're conscious of it or unconscious of it, it's happening anyway. It's happening right now in this moment as we're choosing to sit in this live. And as I'm choosing to say this to you, and as you guys are choosing to sit here and comment, there's effects that are happening from all of this stuff that we're doing right now in this moment. And those effects, they could be residual, they could be instant, both, really. And you just think about it, like, after coming into this space today, due to the effects of it, we're going to be different people after this. We're going to have a different paradigm about life. We're going to have some sort of different slither of perception and awareness within our being in some type of fashion. Whether it's an awareness of, okay, hey, I don't even need this anymore. I'm already aware of what I need to be aware of. Or it could be, wow, I feel like I just obtained enlightenment about something that I've needed answers on. Effects doesn't have to be a negative thing. I'm sure some of us may associate the word effects with something negative, but everything is affected by a cause or by a choice. And that effect is nothing more than a resonance, a frequency of experience and energy taking place based off the chemistry of your frequency and vibration that you chose to choose to demonstrate energy and consciousness into this plane of existence. So again, as I've said before in a previous episode, is, knowing where we are, knowing who you are, as in what this realm is, why there's duality in this realm, how we can play with the illusion of it. That's what I mean by knowing where you are. Knowing that you're not when you're in this perception and consciousness of your physical avatar, you're not in the conscious awareness of the 12D, where you can just be doing all these 12D things in the 3D. Because when we do that, then we get burnt out. Then we become out of body too much, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah.
So just, realizing that there are laws in place as well that make these things happen and make these things possible. Without universal laws, there would be no way that we would be able to even do anything. And when I say do anything, anything at all, there's no way for existence to even be, because there has to be some type of order to allow things to be able to be represented, to be fluid, to be able to be expressed and experienced. And these laws are everywhere for you guys. The books that we spoke about, you can literally just Google audiobooks. You can go on YouTube. There's so many universal laws that you can find for free to access and study and integrate into your life.
Yeah.
And through the studies and through the integration of these laws, then you become what they say is a self-master or an alchemist of your own reality. And then you learn how to be able to play with it all, play with the illusions, play with the different planes of existence, remembering that the higher laws of the universe are more powerful and have more weight in your reality and your experience than the lower density laws, which is another thing they talk about in the Hermetic teachings. When you see the bigger picture or the grander scale of what is taking place, behind the veil and through the physical lens, but going into the metaphysical and beyond, then you're able to take that information, that matrix system, the codes, the energy behind it, and basically manipulate it, shift it, take it and be like, this is my story of how this energy is experienced with me. And this is what I'm going to do with it. I don't care about what a doctor has to say about me not being able to walk again. That's not my story that I'm choosing as my alchemist to articulate with the universe for me to experience. I'm choosing to recover. I'm choosing to be able to walk again. So it's things like that, our choices of our free will, where we're really orchestrating our own lane in the universe. And this is why I said just a moment ago this is why I'm slowing down big time. And I felt the big message in the collective to slow down big time, especially with Chiron being in retrograde right now. Chiron is the planet of wounded healer. So there's a lot of wounded healing in the collective that's coming to the surface. And with Saturn being retrograde as well, Saturn is the planet of karma and time and action. So this is a major, major time of slowing down. And we can see it happening in this planet right now. And there's going to be events and activities that are going to trigger slowdowns in the collective. And just watch. It's not going to be a coincidence. Because if you remember in this show, there's no such thing as coincidence.
Right.
To start to map out and kind of prophetically be able to see things, because we all have that gift and ability to be a prophet, to be able to tap into the Akasha. But we can kind of map out and see, if we pay attention to what's going on throughout the universe and throughout the world, no matter what field or demographic is happening, that there are signs, there's symbolism, there are things subliminally behind everything, no matter if it's political, no matter if it's at a festival, no matter if it's at your job, no matter if it's when you're at a hospital. That divine synchronicity is always there. And the more that you allow yourself, not force yourself to tap in, but allow yourself to surrender and harmonize with it, you'll be able to be more in a neutral space where you're more of that observer and conscious alchemist, realizing that you don't have to. You don't have to attach to the world. You don't have to attach to the experience that's coming through you, but you can experience it, observe it, allow yourself to process the emotions that come through it, as the emotions will be very temporary, and then integrate whatever information you want to take in and leave the rest, as our wonderful sister Sandee says.
Just take what resonates, leave the rest, right?
Exactly.
I want to share what Divine Words of Wisdom Patrice said. She said, and she's saying this for what you said. She said, absolutely, being within these frequencies affects other visions or other versions of ourselves, as well as the self through our connectedness, the true aspect of our unity of consciousness. Then she goes on to say that she was also agreeing with us being the creators of our story. No matter what story is being told to us, we can always take that and go, hey, she knows my favorite word, opt out. That's what free will is about. You get to opt out of the story. Even though, yes, our higher beings may have said, well, we're going to come on and we're going to play this. But when you're tired of playing on the playground, you get to opt out. When you go, I'm tired of playing on this jungle gym with you. I need something else. You know, go call somebody else in to step into my spot. I'm going to go over there. Right? It's our story. This is all Ra is saying, is we've come to tell you some information. We've come to share it with you. The first time, well over 11,000 years ago, they graced the planet and walked amongst them, humans or humanity, and gave them so much information. And then certain people decided to distort it for their own greater and highest good and leave. They didn't do the service to wholeness. They didn't do service to others. So Ra, that sixth density complex, had to leave. It was their choice, their free will choice. They said, we can't do this now. They're not ready. They had to leave. They made the free will's choice to stay in whatever we call space vehicles, or we could call their motorhomes, right? And they decided to stay and watch us till they thought their impression, their perception was that they're ready to hear it, but we're going to do it a different way. We're going to stay within range and channel through somebody that's ready, that's open. And this way, it will honor everyone on that planet's free will. So the questions that are asked, when Ra says, hey, we can't answer that because that infringes your free will, can you ask the question in a different format, a different way? It's to keep everyone, wholeness, the law of one's free will intact. So you can take what resonates and leave what doesn't. You can take bits and pieces of it, and you can formulate your life, called the puzzle of your life, and the pieces, and see what fits. Maybe the reason why your puzzle piece doesn't fit in that groove anymore quite correctly is because that puzzle piece itself on the puzzle board has changed. You shifted. And the only one that's going to know that you shifted is you. And the only way you're going to know that is if you embody you from the inside out, and you ask an embodying question to your higher beingness, to that higher version of you. Make sure take the time to figure out what questions you need to ask. Because a book is a book until it becomes a vibrational story to you. Children, think about it. I'm not gonna just say children. I'm gonna say myself. I couldn't wait till reading time. I couldn't wait till from first to third grade. I could not wait for the teacher to read, so I could play make believe in my head. I could dress the characters the way I saw them from her vibrational resonance to me. Take what resonates to you and leave the rest. So with that said, we've done, what have we done? We've done almost 2 hours and 17 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because the divine has said, do it. And we just went with the flow. And people coming in and moving out, they get what they get. Ooh, so exciting. I love service. I love service to others. I was called to serve. Now it's service to the wholeness, and I'm included in that. Holy shit. That's all I can say. That's my adjective of the day. Holy shit. Really? All right.
So before we go, let's throw some reminders out there for everybody on where they can tap into us in the meantime, since we won't be back until probably not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday, which is going to be the 11th of August. So let's let everybody know like where they can tap into us in other lives and different spaces in the meantime. What you got going on, Sandee?
Today is my star meditations with light language at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday is my of course, my Soul Conversations with Sandee, the podcast. That's at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I have Soul Talk with Sandee M. Is my newest back burner, push to the front burner gift that the divine has given me. It's a talk show that is going to be. It was originally supposed to be live streamed on IG and YouTube, and so far we're just live streaming it on YouTube. So follow my YouTube. You know, it's going to be glorious. And if you want star meditations with Sandra one-on-ones, I do that on Thursdays. Hit me up in my DMs. I can give you the pricing. I either do 30 minutes or an hour.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
And I have pulled up here for all of you guys. I have pulled up for you guys Sandee's YouTube channel, so you guys can get a look at it here. That's what the channel looks like. Soul Awakening with Sandra. You can check out all the episodes of this series so far, along with the other content that she spoke on. So yeah, just, you know, if you guys could just go subscribe, give some likes, share her content, support each other, and raise our sister up as she continues to devote herself in her life and give her time and energy and effort to being a vessel and being a channel for you to help you be able to become aware of yourself and just live a more conscious and healthy life. You know, it's really what it's all about here, is just giving you guys tools and gems and knowledge that you can either take or leave at your own free will, with the intention of us wanting you guys to just be your most conscious and healthy self with your everyday life, not just for you, but for your family, your children, your communities, your job, everything that is a part of life. There's no separation. And I just want to continue to remind us that there is no separation. Like, we can I don't really know how to say the word, but it's compartmentalize whatever it is in your brain. Try to be like, my job. Yeah. You'd be like, my job is over here, my home is over here, community is over here, my podcasts are over here. But in essence, they're all connected. They all blend together. They all affect each other. So
they're all oneness.
Exactly. So me, myself, coming up this Saturday on the 3rd at 3:33 p.m. Eastern, I will be hosting an online heart chakra workshop, and it's going to be free donation based. So if any of you guys feel called to that, just let me know, reach out, and I'll send you the online link to join in that workshop. It's a free workshop, donation based. You get to learn in depth about the heart chakra. You get to learn about what blockages and overactivations look like. Then you get to journal and identify them in your own personal life with guidance and community. And then we'll also be going over practices and tools to balance and clear the heart chakra. And then I'll cap it off with a guided heart chakra meditation for you guys. Free donation based this Saturday at 3:33 p.m. Eastern. Just reach out if you want the link, or you can go directly to the link in my bio on Instagram or sacredlight33.as.me. And then last thing I got going on, I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up my promo for it. And it is coming up next week for the big gateway portal of 88 Lionsgate. I am going to be hosting a Sedona retreat for 3 days in alignment with the Lionsgate portal.
To join the 8/8 Lionsgate retreat. Join Marcus Christolight of Sacred Light, Healing and Wellness for the 8/8 Lionsgate Sedona 3-day holistic retreat. This is not just any retreat, it's a journey into the depths of your soul, a chance to reconnect with your inner self and the universe. Imagine spending 3 transformative days surrounded by the serene beauty of Flagstaff's cedar forest, camping under the stars, and feeling the gentle whisper of the wind as it carries the wisdom of the ages. You'll be immersing yourself in a conscious community where every individual is on a path of self-discovery and collective growth. This retreat offers sacred, safe space circles where you can share your journey and listen to others, creating a tapestry of shared experiences. Engage in chakra and cord-cutting workshops that will help you release old energies for new, vibrant ones. Participate in native ceremony, honor the land, allow you to release what no longer serves you and embrace your true potential. These ceremonies are designed to help you connect deeply with the earth and your own spirit. Feast on delicious plant-based lunches and dinners plus snacks, all prepared with love and intention. These meals are not just food for the body, but nourishment for the soul, helping you to feel vibrant and alive. As you nourish your body and soul, you'll find yourself feeling more connected to the earth and to your own inner wisdom. On the powerful 8/8 Lionsgate will gather in Sedona, a place known for its powerful energy vortexes and stunning red rock formations. We'll intentionally align with the gateway portal for optimal healing and grounding activations for our path forward. This is a time of powerful cosmic alignment, and being in Sedona will amplify the energies available to us. Spaces are limited, so don't miss your chance to join us on this sacred journey. This is an opportunity to step away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life and immerse yourself in a space of healing and transformation. Sign up today at sacredlight33.as.me or DM Marcus Christolight for more info. Don't wait, as spaces are filling up quickly and you don't want to miss out on this life-changing experience. Transform your life, heal your soul, and step into your highest self at the 8/8 Lionsgate Retreat. This is more than just a retreat. It's a call to your soul to rise and shine. Oh, we can't wait to welcome you. Come join us and be part of a community that supports and uplifts each other. Together we will create a space of love, healing, and transformation. See you there.
So yep, there you have it. Coming up from the 6th to the 8th next week, I will be hosting a Sedona retreat for Lionsgate, 3 days, only at the price of $188 for 3 days. There'll be multiple workshops, including chakra lesson on the 12 chakras. There will be subconscious reprogramming. There will be cord cutting and clearing. There'll also be some traditional elemental native ceremonies going on. And we'll also be camping out outside in Cedar Forest, close by Sedona. And then we'll be spending a full day on 8/8 in Sedona, doing ceremonies and alignments with the vortexes and gateways. So if you guys are interested in that, you're looking for something to do next week, and you're wanting to be a part of a community and really embrace the Lionsgate portal, feel free to reach out. Only $188 for 3 days. You get your food taken care of. You get the camping taken care of. You get workshops, conscious community, and unconditional love. That's what I got for you guys coming up.
I love it. 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 Also, to let you know that I will start back doing my reading Monday through Thursday. I'm going to start that this week. And usually it's going to be around between 1 and 1:30. Hey, you know, sometimes life gets caught up in there. So I get on and I read. When the divine says, do it, I do it. We're reading now Journey of Souls. And it helps people understand the transition. And it gives you a infinite possibility of transitional souls transitioning from one human vessel, going back to the divine, the journey back to the divine. What happens, or approximation of what happens, and how what happens before it takes another human vessel, if it does, right? So I will be doing that beginning tomorrow morning. And what is today? Let's see. Today is Wednesday. Oh yeah, today is Wednesday. Sometimes you know, seeing third density through a higher consciousness. Sometimes I lose sight of days or times or whatnot. So that's why I have to schedule everything. That's why I have to put it in a book, write it in a book, say it, remember it, have my higher being kind of shout it to me softly while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Also, if you do miss a Soul Conversation podcast, you can go to my Spotify and enjoy it there as I upload them. So, and everything, if you go to my bio and hit my my links, you'll find each link there for you in my bio. So yes, I'm on Spotify. Yay! You got me everywhere. You'll even have me on TikTok pretty soon once I get that, once I get that.
Yeah.
What do you call that? I hop that horse and learn how to ride it. So anyway, so this coming up week, we will be taking a break. Thank you. Yes, Soul Conversations with Sandra. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Join me in service to others. Just join me. You're going to find that there are some really good conversations that I've had over the period of the last 2 years, and you might find some information that you need. You might find a little information about law of attraction or law of cause and effect, how to use it in a portion of your life. So many great conversations there. And I do this all to serve. I don't want to leave you, but I got to. I must
I
to.
don't want
As
to leave you, but I have to.
but I have to. That's what my grandkids say. Must I to leave you when I get ready to leave, after visiting them. And then I go, yes, I must to. So thank you for being part of the Shelaku ane megaya so si soluku ushena teki chashena alaki waka ate ute kino tu shena taki pole ne kino shenata ashe.
Ashe. We'll be back on the 11th, everybody.
On August 11th, we return with book 2.
Actually, let me rephrase that. This is what I mean by words. We're not going to be back on the 11th. Moving forward, our next episode will be on the 11th.
Ashe.
Ooh. May this space now be closed.
Whew. Thank you. Oh, here we go. Madoko anime he se sonada. Shena toko on kia sena. Poloku shena. Natu ashe. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you, guys.
Everything wants to vibrate. It jumped out my hand.
Thank you to all of you again. This does it for book 1 of Ascending Beyond Limitations, the raw material law of one study with a holistic approach. I am one host of 2, Marcus Christolight, and our other co-host,
Sandee M. 1 of 2. Together we make wholeness. Thank you.
Ashe.
Thank you. And thank you. Ashe.
Have a blessed and beautiful day, everybody. See you in the other spaces.
Other realms.